Okay, hi everyone, Sabrina here with a very sort of special video. I've had students ask me for recommendations for books that they would like to read. So this is a video dedicated to those 3 students. So what I'll do is I'll just go through and show you a pile of books that I think that these students would love to read. It's also freezing cold, so I'm currently warming my hands up on my very hot cup of tea. Yeah, can we have spring please? I'm just going to start off and we'll just play it from here and we'll see how we go. So, Sam, because I know you like the Warrior Cat series, the Red Wall series written by Brian Jacks I think is the next stage up for you. These are fantastic, massive fantasy stories that star animals, good against evil, and each story is like its own self-contained story, but if you read the whole lot you get the whole history of Red Wall and Mossflower Woods. Really love these. All 3 of you need to read my favourite book as a child, Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This is a story about an outsider with a massive imagination who just wants to make her place in the world. And I really love Anne Shirley. The Beast Player, this is one for Sam and Kai. This is a translated text, so bear with it because it's a little bit funny in places because the English language, you know how I feel about the English language, but it does fail completely. But this is a really magical tale of people and animals. One for all 3 of you is The Long Goodbye of the Last Bookseller. I've got book 1 in this series which I haven't read, but I read this one first, and this is a lovely short little story set in Japan about a guy who can commune with books, and he pairs people up with their ideal book and that, but he also has conversations with a book. Yes, books have feelings. Legends and Lattes, this one's for Emily. I think you would love the idea of Dungeons and Dragons meets opening a coffee shop. I need to read this one first, but we can buddy read it if you want. Bone Shard Daughter, this is another one for Emily. This is a fantastic book. I can't recommend this high enough. The Invisible Library, this is for all 3 of you. Genevieve Cogman is one of my favourite authors. This features alternative worlds, magic with libraries, dragons and fae. Really cool. Another one for all 3 is The Library of the Unwritten. This stars Claire, who's the librarian of Hell's Library, which is where all the books that have ever been written or have ever been written live. And it's a self-contained trilogy of 3 books, which is really beautiful and actually made me cry a lot. Ink and Bone, this is by Rachel Kane. I love this series. I've read the first 3 now. This is an alternative history where the Great Library of Alexandria never burnt down, and it's how power and hoarding of knowledge can corrupt completely. I love this series. A Magic Steeped in Poison. Emily, I think I know you've read this already. If not, please put this on your list straight away. This revolves around Chinese tea magic. It's beautiful. The second one in the series comes out next week, I think. The Nature of Witches. Emily, another one for you. I seem to have gone through your stack quite quickly here. This is a beautiful tale about how witchcraft is connected to the elements. It's got an environmental theme going on there, and there's a slow burn romance, which was really lovely. Her Majesty's Royal Coven. All 3 of you are going to love this book. This is classed as an adult book, but I would put it as a YA. It's got that kind of feel to it. But this is a coven of witches that work for the government. It also has lots of Spice Girls and 90s references in it, and it's about family. The Bone Witch, Sam and Emily, I think you'd love this one. This is effectively an anti-hero. You're not sure if you like the main character or not in this. It's told in a really interesting way. I loved this book a lot. It is also a trilogy. All 3 of you need to read some Becky Chambers. So book 1 of the Wayfarers series is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. The title is a massive clue of what happens in this book, but it's fantastic. It's found family in space, character driven, and it's really hopeful. I love Becky Chambers so much because of her hopeful writing of the future. And her other series that you ought to give a go, these are novellas. So this is A Psalm for the Wild Built. These are her Monk and Robot series, which are just beautiful little reflections on life and love and friendship. Really nice. One for Kai and Sam, The Sound of Stars. This is by Alicia Dow. This is what happens when aliens come to Earth and decide to get rid of everything that is imaginative and creative in order to control the population, and what happens when one girl rebels against that, keeps a secret library, and bumps into an alien who's really fascinated by the culture and the arts of the human race. Road Trip. All for One. This is by Lily Lanoff, comes out in the UK later this year in paperback, but this is a 3 Musketeers gender bent retelling with the main character suffering from a chronic illness. It's fantastic. This is so empowering and I love it a lot. One for all 3 of you is the Wayward Children series. I've got that one in the library, which you've probably recognised. But there are about 8 or 9 books in this series now. You don't have to read them in order, but it can help for later events. But I love these. It's all about being outsiders. Think Alice in Wonderland meets our real world. And it's what happens with dealing when you come back from Wonderland, as it were, when you come back from your portal world, and how you deal with finding the place where you belong and suddenly you're torn away from it. I love these books though. Sorcery of Thorns. Sam, I thought of this one for you. This is by Margaret Rogerson. She writes beautiful books, but this one in particular, she's a warrior librarian. He's a magician. Great fun. Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. I keep hearing about this one. I have yet to read this one, but I think this is one for Emily. Give it a go. Gideon the Ninth. Kai, this might be right up your street. This is really bizarre, bonkers, and you have to stick with it. Necromancy in space, but it's awesome. The Bells. This is all about beauty and the price you pay for it. I love Doniella Clayton's writing. This is really, really impressive stuff. I think all 3 would really like this. Kingdom of Souls, one for Emily here. This is African mythology, women power and magic. Very good. Dark and Hollow Star. Kai, go and read this one. This is Fae in our world, big bad that has to be defeated, slow gentle burn romances and lots of politics going on, but you're going to love this. When Women Were Dragons. I think all 3 would really like this. This effectively talks about when women in the 1960s, 50s, can't remember, in America spontaneously turned into dragons when they'd had enough of the sexism in the world, and this is what the fallout is from that, and discussions around feminism. Really, really good stuff, really easily written. Beautiful. The Forever Sea. Again, all 3 of you I think would like this. I know it's a bit of a big book, but this is amazing. This is effectively pirates, but instead of the sea, they're sailing on a grass plain, and there's like these monsters underneath. There's this hidden mystery going on. There's this found family element, and there's lots of deep dark secrets. This is so cool, and the sequel comes out later this year. And then finally, Emily. This is not the cover you'll find on the shelves if you do find it. This is Cruel Illusions by Margie Fuston. So this is Caraval meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is a gorgeous edition, but like I say, the edition that's on the shelves I really like as well. I'm still reading this, but I'm loving it so far. It's really clever and creative, and it's effectively magic and vampires kind of exist in our world, but nobody acknowledges it, and we're following this young girl who wants revenge effectively on the vampire that had killed her mother, but there's a lot more going on than that. I'm really liking this. There you go, gang. I hope that gives you some choices to have a look at. I obviously haven't got all of these in the library, so you might have to try it in town, or, you know, the dreaded online place. I'm sure they'll have copies for you to try. But I think you'll really like at least some of these books, if not all of them. Okay? If you want to pick my brains for any more, do ask, and I'll show you my Instagram next time you're in. Alright, for everybody else who's just watched that, hopefully you found some books that you didn't know about, or that I've highlighted something that you might want to give a go. As always, thank you very much for watching. Happy reading. Be well.